Hey guys, this is Identifiers back with a brand new video. And today I'm going to be addressing a couple of things that I feel would be important to understand from the standpoint of a consumer when it comes to your credit reports, as well as a couple of other things. Now, the first thing you need to realize is a lot of people get denied for credit. It's not just because of the credit score, right? There is a series of different things that people look at, particularly creditors when extending credit to you. Now that can mean something as little as your payment history. You don't have enough history. It can be something as big as your credit utilization. Now, for the most part, a lot of individuals believe that you need to have less than 30% utilization, and that's not the case, okay? You can probably do well with 40%. It depends. And typically, we recommend you keep it below around 20, even 15%. And the reason I say that is because, let's say, you get to that point where you're keeping your utilization low because you know for a fact you can apply for funding. And certain points is, one of the things that you want to, be clear about is because probably you're going to utilize that funding down the road for something great. You're probably going to borrow 100,000, 200,000. And in that situation, all your credit is going to be maxed out. All your credit is going to be utilized to its fullest. So prior to getting to that stage, you need something that you can work with when it comes to keeping your utilization low. So typically I'd recommend 15%. And the reason why, it's because let's say all of a sudden you come across an emergency, well, at least you have a little bit of room, a little bit of spread that you can work with, that you can, bring it to 25% or even 30% at most. So that's important. Second thing, one of the biggest reasons why a lot of people do credit repair, it's of course because they have a lot of derogatory items, a lot of inquiries, and all these type of things. And I want to make something very clear. I want to be very concise with a specific point, and that is, if you're doing credit repair, the first thing you need to look out for is the information on your personal identifiers. And what I mean by that is, how many addresses are showing up. That's a very big factor. How many telephone numbers, how many first and last names and a combination of middle names are showing up. And the reason why you want to look at that is because, first and foremost, every single item that's there has been triggered and it has a string with a particular derogatory item on your report, most probably. So the first thing you want to tackle is those information. It's no longer relevant. Even if they're factual and accurate, it's no longer relevant to you at this time. So having those on record is not really going to help you. It's in fact going to hurt your ability to borrow down the road. So you want to be very careful with that. So that's the first thing you want to tackle. And then the second thing you want to tackle after those personal identifiers are gone are things that are like late payments, late payments, things that are charged off, all these type of things. And the reason I say that is because, when you have late payments, it shows a creditor or anybody that you're applying with that, look, that person's not stable. There's a high chance of default. There's all these type of situations and issues that can arise from this person getting credit from our company. So from that point on, it's probably best not to extend them credit. So late payments are certain things that you want to take care of right away. And by doing so, what you're going to do is you're going to increase your chances of borrowing, and it's going to help your situation. It's going to help your ability to borrow. And that's something that you want to do. Okay. So late payments, first thing is personal identifiers. Second is late payments. And then the third thing we do is we look at the collection accounts or any charge-offs. Those are typically accounts that have, history on them. Collection accounts, they're very tricky. So they come one day and then the next day they're in a different name. But most of them are disputable, meaning like the information that's there is not even accurate in the first place, right? So we look at that information, and then from that point on, we move on to all the other derogatory items, right? Like charged off debt, anything that's no longer relevant to you. It's closed accounts that are showing negative with huge balances, all these type of things. So that's the string of things that you want to focus on. Those are the situations that you want to work with. Now here's another thing, right? A lot of people will say, well, Ali, I want to do credit repair, but I don't want to continuously monitor my credit while doing it. I don't want to pay for service. The problem there is you need to. If you don't monitor your credit, whether today or tomorrow, you're going to have a collection account randomly showing up. And just before you go and apply for that loan, just before you go for that financing that you're looking to get, that one little thing can throw it off. So you always want to be careful. You always want to put information that's up to date. Monitoring is a very useful tool. You need it. If you don't use it, quite honestly, it's at your disadvantage. Nobody's winning aside from the collection agency or whatever negative derogatory items that's being posted on your report that's holding you back from the ability for you to borrow whatever amount you want to borrow. Okay, so that's very important. So keep that in mind. So once again, just to go from the beginning to the end, the first thing we look at is your personal information, any extra addresses, extra full names and last names or middle names, date of birth, even your social, or even anything that's like your employers or others, relevant personal information that can potentially become, I guess, in a sense, a factor when it comes to approvals. Second thing you want to do is you want to look at late payments. Like I said, they affect your credit. They also affect even if you have good credit, you have several late payments, it still doesn't look good to a lot of lenders or creditors that are going to be extending the funding to you. You want to take care of that right away. Third, we look at any other derogatory items, whether it be charge-off, collection accounts, and all these type of things. And a lot of people will ask me, Ali, what about inquiries? Inquiries are factual evidence, right? Like you're applying for credit. They're there for that. They're going to stay on your file for a while, but you can still remove them. I mean, we do that very comfortably. There's a process of doing it. You have to do it the right way. A lot of people think that just disputing it with the credit bureaus is enough. In most cases, it's not, because there's a lot more than that. You have to actually go and communicate with the creditors. When it comes to inquiries, you have to know several things. There are 4 things which we call permissible purpose. A permissible purpose is the right to pull your credit, the right to inquire. And there are 4 things that allow that. The first one is a firm offer of credit. A firm offer of credit is that you get an inquiry. Based on that inquiry, you actually got an account. That's legit. That's permissible. Second one is if it's like an insurance company, they're allowed to use that. Third is an employer. As long as you sign documentation, the consent to that inquiry, they're allowed to do that. And then the last but not least is government. A court record will allow them to pull your credit report. So all these type of things are permissible purposes. The rest is just not firm. There's not any employers, insurance, anything not relevant to court. Those are not permissible purposes. So based on that context, you can actually dispute it with the creditors, and in fact, you can actually do it with the credit reports at the same time. Now, you want to do it at the same time simultaneously because you're going to get the most results from that. So with that said, I hope that the video was informative. I hope you understand clearly now why credit repair takes a little bit longer than what people actually promise out there. It's not a 30-day to 40-day or 60-day thing. It takes a little bit longer because you have to look at correspondence. We have to look at removing all these information that we mentioned in this video. And of course, ultimately applying for new credit and then building substantial new funding and anything that you want to do with your credit afterwards. So don't forget once again to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Turn the notifications on so every time there's a new video like this, you get notified. And I'll see you soon. This is Ali Taraftar, your guided mentor. Bye for now.